Call the meeting to order. Time now at 1:08 p.m. Thank you everyone for coming out to our August 2, 2025 meeting of the 14th Police District Council. We're going to change things up a little bit, but we'll get into that when the time is appropriate. First and foremost, we'll go ahead and take attendance. Councilor Orlikoff.
Here.
And Councilor Vargas.
Present.
And I'm Councilor Laurent. So we had 3 of 3, so we do have a quorum, so we can conduct city business. First things first, we'll get into public comment. We'll do 20 minutes total, giving each speaker about 2 minutes each to voice their concerns.
Sorry, question. Is it impossible to allow the commander before that?
Well, I was going to get to the commander just following.
Sure.
So, by the way, for the record, I'd like to thank the Commander Rivera for joining us today. It's great to see you here. Sir.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
So with that being said, 20 minutes total, 2 minutes per speaker. Here's the time to raise your concerns about policing initiatives and public safety here in the 14th District. That being said, let's maintain decorum and keep away the personal attacks. Do we have any public comment?
Hi. I was at, I know you were there too, the public meeting on Monday where concerns were raised about Commander Foster and his record, the CPD. I'm wondering where those concerns have landed within the district council. Is I know a bigger body within Area 5 needs to come together to meet about a no confidence vote on him, but I'm just wondering whether that's been brought up or advanced, because there's pretty serious allegations that have been substantiated. And knowing some of his victims, it's just been really tough for them as well.
Would you care to state your name for the record?
Yeah, Louise Carhart, yeah.
I believe we do have an agenda point related to that.
Okay.
Thank you for your comments. Ms. Heyman.
Hi, I'm Sally Heyman. I just wanted to second those concerns about John Foster as the Area 5 commander. For someone to be probably one of the leading forces because of his rank in a $3.4 million lawsuit because of incorrect charges against a citizen in Chicago, not to mention 69 complaints on file, which is more than 98% of the other officers in the Chicago Police District. 3 of those have been sustained, 2 were disciplined, and there were, in addition, 2 use of force complaints reports. Now, I got that from a Chicago Police Department website, I think. So those are the records that the Chicago Police Department has. So I'm really puzzled why and how someone with that kind of a record can be put in charge of the commander of the Area 5 detective unit. And it just kind of boggled my mind when I started finding out some facts about that. I really strongly recommend that we also do some more real serious investigation. I haven't had time to do a thorough kind of investigation. This is just kind of top of it, But it sounds like there's some real serious problems here. And I would like to see, our district and the other districts really investigate this thoroughly. And if needed, let's recommend no confidence and ask that he be removed, because he doesn't sound like, at this point to me, the kind of person we want to have as the head of the Area 5. In addition, I just wanted to, and again, we've been going after the Oath Keeper, Sergeant Nowacki, here in the 14th District for over a year now, trying to get him also, taken off of our 14th District. And I guess my bottom line is, it really seems like to me, the police don't seem to be able to police themselves.
Good. Thank you for your comments, Ms. Heyman. That ends the time.
Sorry to go a little over.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Do we have any other public comments? Mr. Tucker.
So after about a year of nothing, I saw some vandalism that included pictures of me, Adam Burke, who's been involved in these meetings, and Councilor Orlikoff, saying that we're parasites. So to the person in this room, or to the person that somebody in this room knows that's doing that, I'm very flattered that you're spending so much time and energy on me. It's cute. Unfortunately, it's not a way to persuade me to go out with you on any sort of romantic encounter, but it's I'm very flattered nonetheless. The time and money that probably went into doing all this is probably hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. That is a lot of dedication that you have, person that's doing that. So, I mean, that's a lot. That's money that could have probably been used for migrant support, aid, or perhaps, domestic violence support or aid, or something else. I don't know, but it's flattering that you would go to such great lengths to do that. But it seems like it's a very misguided and frankly cowardly sort of thing. You can say to my face, "I'm not going to do anything to you." Just quit being a coward, and perhaps maybe use your money a little bit more wisely. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Tucker. Do we have any other public comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on in our agenda. Thank you very much. Like I said, we're gonna move things around a little bit before we get into the minutes review. We're gonna welcome Commander Rivera, our new police district commander here. He's gonna give a little, not pep talk, but a little intro, and if he has time, he'll answer a couple of questions that some people may have. Please do.
I just want to say hello to everyone, and thank you for having me. I am Commander Rivera, and I'm going to kind of give you a little history of who I am. Right? I'm born and raised in Humboldt Park and Logan Square. As a police commander, I use a variety of perspectives to make any type of decisions. And actually, you and I spoke about this, but I was born in Chicago, raised in Puerto Rico, and the son of a migrant family, right? I lived 8 of us in an attic, division and artesian, and through all of Humboldt Park because we didn't have money. So we always followed the cheapest rent. At that point, at that time, Humboldt Park was the most dangerous community in the United States. That's one of my perspectives of a migrant being low income. I grew up in the neighborhood. I was a young Hispanic, young Latino. So I understand what it is to be part of a marginalized community. I know what it is to be stopped by the police, what it is to be stereotyped. I understand all that. My way to get out of a bad situation was to join the military. So then I served my country. So I have the perspective of a migrant, someone who was poor, someone who served their country, and now as someone who is leading the police. When I make a decision, I take all those perspectives. When you tell me or we speak about a problem, I'm going to treat you with respect, neutrality, and I'm going to listen. Because I understand a lot of these positions, because I've been there. I've been through the crime, I've seen what's been good, I've seen what's been bad through the department, and that's why I'm happy I'm in this position, because I could push change now. And someone was, I'm not going to say wise enough, but gave me the opportunity to be here, because maybe they saw that in me. So I'm always going to, my doors are going to be open to you in the 14th district. We're always going to have respectful conversation back and forth. I can always say yes because I have the policy and procedures of the police department. We're always going to find a happy medium, and at the end of the day, you're going to be treated with respect. Okay? Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Do you have time for a few
Sure. Any
questions?
questions? Anyone have any questions? Well, thank you, and you'll see. I'm sorry, Ashley.
Yeah, maybe in one of my updates, I wanted to update the public about our meeting we had and just like the three the three topics that we spoke about that have been brought up in several meetings. So one of them was about the Oath Keeper, and we discussed supervision while he's on duty. We discussed supervision and oversight. We also discussed traffic stops, and we brought up the 200 over 200,000 unreported stops in CPD. So we talked about how you're addressing that with your officers. And we also spoke about domestic violence calls not being reported in CAPS meetings. And you mentioned that that these calls would be moving forward. They would start getting reported at weeks meetings, right?
So we'll start with the Oath Keeper. So I have an update on the Oath Keeper, but I'm waiting for permission to be able to give you that information. What I will tell you is that Oath Keeper is not in any position that he could affect by either using hateful or biased actions towards anyone in the community. So that I will tell you. The moment that I have the opportunity, I get the green light from downtown to give you, Ashley, or you, David, the update, I will. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. But that person is not in a position right now that he could affect anyone in the community. We made sure of that. Okay. As far as the stops, what we need and what I've been pushing is a lot of training. The pretextual stops, they need training. We need to affirm our bias training on a regular basis. And I told you, on a regular basis, we're pushing training on bias training, on procedural justice, on any type of training regarding documentation. We use our GPS, we use a variety of tools to ensure that stops that are being made through our GPS, making sure there's the proper documentation that's aligned with that stop. So that's something that can't be hidden anymore. And officers are, they're in-service training, and like I said, through our everyday roll call training. So I'm in charge of operations, and operations is we have to keep reinforcing training. You have to keep reinforcing training. You have to, and for lack of a better term, you have to keep pushing and being training into people's minds so that they know that that's what's expected. I'm big on accountability. You know, if you look me up, and that's another thing, if you look me up, please don't look up Ricardo Rivera, that's a different guy. My name is Ricky Rivera, they gave me a nickname as a first name, so it's R-I-C-K-Y Rivera, right? So if you look me up, you'll see that for the most part I've had a successful career because I focused on that, on being accountable. Things weren't always perfect through my career, but I was always accountable. When I made a mistake, I stood up and I documented. When you document and you do things the right way, things usually work out for us. And I'm sorry, what's the one that I'm missing?
The domestic violence.
Domestic
calls.
violence. So I know a lot of the domestic violence that isn't being reported is from migrants. So personally, I want to get, I'm actually going to be myself. I'm going to go to several CAPS meetings. I'm going to speak on behalf of them. Because sometimes, you know, migrants feel, and I know from being migrant myself, feel more comfortable with the same thing. Right? We have to give them liaisons to be able to contact us directly, and maybe we could help them through the process of reporting some of this domestic violence. And a lot of them are in a bad place, that if they don't have housing, or say they're living in a tenant area or whatever it may be, they're scared to report on this because of the fact that they really can't get out of the situation they're in. So we're going to have to make sure that we offer them the proper victim services and explain to them how we can help. Because that's all it is. Sometimes it's the fact of getting someone to be a point of contact. So I'm working on getting points of contact as far as that.
And actually, we've spoken to our CAPS office in regards to making sure that specifically, I said B1414, I think you reported, making sure that they are given that information that they should be, okay?
Yeah, to report out. Yes, to start sharing that information in CAPS meetings. Yeah. Hopefully,
Right.
we can get it in all CAPS meetings, not this singular
And
one.
I know many of them may not have social media. We're going to include that in social media. So we're going to do it in English and Spanish and social media. We're going to really push it. We have the 14th District National Night Out on Tuesday, the 5th, if I'm not mistaken. The 5th is going to be at 5 o'clock at Haas Park, which is on Fullerton and Washington. So we're going to make sure we're pushing that type of agenda, that type of info out to our people. So I'm out there, I'm inviting everyone. If you have children, family, you have grandkids, whatever, please bring them over. We're going to have a petting zoo and a bunch of variety of different things. I'm going to try different things this year, so we're going to try to give it a shot.
I'll be in the dunk tank also.
So he'll be a dunk tank.
We're gonna dump the commander, right?
You know what, maybe I have to think about that, but we'll see. I'm going to try to give out the information you can get done.
Take your guns out.
Yes.
Can I ask a question? My name is Lucy Giglio. I live in Humboldt Park. Certainly, I agree that language is probably an issue when trying to serve domestic violence incidents, especially for undocumented people. I'm also wondering how recent reports of ICE collaborating with Chicago PD might also be impacting the lack of reporting.
There's a lot of information that we have to disseminate because people are still uncomfortable with us. And I'll give you an example, right? ICE, a lot of the federal the federal side of policing, they have a black vest with yellow lettering, right? So as a commander, that's what I had. So I walked into places where they didn't want to communicate with me. But that's just, we have to get that info out. We have to speak to them. A lot of migrants don't know the difference, but we have to get that info. So we have to just work, we have to be present. That's the most important thing, is that we, as CPD, we have to be present, explain to them the difference, and we're willing to do to help them. I know the superintendent of police, I don't want to speak against him, but our number one agenda is public safety. So if anything involving ICE, we see that the public safety is being jeopardized, we have to get involved. Okay? I'll leave it at that, because I'll leave that up to the upper echelon, the command staff, as far as downtown, but we need to get that information out. So we did a lot of damage control, just to finish up, we did a lot of damage control when that group decided to gather at the museum, on the 12th district site. So we really try to get the word out to different people. I know it affected a lot of our festivals, just like every day. So we just do the best to get it out. We're working, like I said, with social media. We're sending our cast people out, making sure. The big thing that I do is I visit the churches. Because when I was a migrant here, my family, when they first came over, they find a safe haven in the churches, the community churches. So we reach out to the pastors so they can get the word out as well. So that's a big key for us. That's a big component, getting the word out to them.
Do we have a victim safety coordinator here in the 14th district
We
yet?
do. We're actually working on that right now. So the programs will be put together. Once we have the exact contact information of that, we'll pass it over to you.
Great.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I heard the word bias, and in the current climate under Trump, it seems like everything that's like that is being cut. That's not an issue for you yet?
No, for us, the training is because we're trying to follow the mandates of the consent decree, right?
Yeah.
And that's a big training that we're pushing. So we're doing a bias training, procedural justice, constitutional policing, that's big. And we also have e-learning to supplement that training. And then I ask my lieutenants on a daily basis to pick one of those subjects and refresh it in roll calls. And roll calls every day. So if you're not sure how it works, officers have roll calls every day before they hit the streets. We'll go over the documentation, or we either go over any type of procedural stuff as far as operations, or we'll go over any type of consent decree related bias, any type of training regarding the consent decree. So we'll do one or the other. We usually alternate on a daily basis. Yes.
Just a quick question. Snelling has been going around the city saying that all officers should be community policing officers. There's also a training that they speak about hard set, skill set, mindset. And just thinking about the July 28th meeting with Area 5, nothing to do with you. I saw that hard set, skill set, mindset was not very prevalent in the way that the investigative commander spoke to the audience and how he handled that situation. So I'm wondering, are you familiar with the community policing?
I am.
Are you familiar? Yeah.
I am, and it's in a big push. I'm not going to comment on the commander and what he's going through,
Yeah.
but I can tell you how I handle the operations side in the 14th district, right? And I understand what the superintendent's pushing. So community policing is just not an officer being on video singing and dancing, right? If I can sing and dance all day, but I can't offer you victim services and I can't offer you help, then I'm not doing my job as a police officer. So the whole point of being a good community police officer is knowing the ways that we could help people who need help, the homeless, the victims of domestic, the victims of CSAs, and know what resources we could provide them. And ensuring that on every call, if you have created, this district, unlike some other districts that I've worked, doesn't have the same amount of calls for service, but prior to being unfortunate, I worked in the 6th district. We led the city in calls for service. So as a lieutenant, I worked in the 6th district. So if you be mindful, an officer may have 10 to 15 calls a day. If in 10 to 15 calls you can provide victim services to 3 people, you're doing a great job. You being a community police officer. But you have to take the time and you have to listen. Not just go from one call to the next. Make sure you get them help. And that's what we're asking of our police officers to do, to be actual community policing officers. As far as someone's personal way of carrying themselves and speaking, you know, everyone's different, right? But that's why I'm here, and I'm pushing for officers to follow our training and learn how to speak and how to deal with the community. And what I do is, and my staff is really good at it, is when we identify anyone that may be either involved in any type of bias, hateful, or any type of dangerous action, right, that in the future may be a problem, we'll let them know right away, we'll put them off the streets right away, or making sure they get the proper training prior to letting them affect anyone in the community. Yes.
Sorry, so when this district council was created, one part of it was focusing on the policing, but another big part was how the community can come together to create. How do you see that as a role in relationship
Yes,
with
building a relationship with the community is the most important thing you can do, right? And prior to being in 14 and 6, I worked for the Bureau of Counterterrorism. Well, we got a lot of leads, a lot of information from the community. Without the help of the community, most of our investigations would have been worthless, right? You have to build that rapport. You have to listen, and you have to take the time to be out here, be at meetings, right? Be at CAPS meetings, do functions like National Night Out, and be open. It's time that we, you know, there's been a lot of anger from mistakes of the past, a lot of it based on what the Chicago Police Department has done. But I think we're at the time that now we have to accept some of our mistakes, and now we have to reach out to the community. We have to mend these bridges. Because now it's time, and I know anger still comes out at times, but now it's time to work together. We want better. We all want the same. You want what's best for the community. I want what's best for the community. And I think the police department is doing a really good job of starting to put commanders in place that they understand that. They want to reach out to the community, give you the time, and then work together to make the city a way better place. And it helps that I am from this community, and I still am from this community, so if you see me out, please, anywhere in the community, come say hello. I'm not the type of guy that I'm going to be standoffish or anything like that, so you'll see me here all the time. Yes?
One of the things that I wanted to commend you for being here, and I wanted to meet you too.
Thank you.
And I think what you said is very important, because the police can't do everything. We are the eyes of the community. We are the eyes. And it takes us as a community to help the police, to help, because they can't do it on their own. We see what happens every day in our community, in our blocks, on our streets. We see it. But if we don't say nothing and we don't report it, we have to have that partnership that's going to get us better in our place. Because we could complain about the police and complain. That doesn't get us nothing. It's let's see what we can do to help the police. Let's see what we can do to help our community kids. Our community kids are dying for help, are dying for resource, are dying for tutoring. But everybody's just complaining about all those young kids that are in the corner standing. But nobody says, let me go and be a tutor. Let me go and help that mother that has 5 kids. Let me do something. But we need to help our police officers. We could complain every day and not do nothing. But we can do something by helping out. We need our 14th district. I am very proud of my 14th district. That's why I've been there for over 30 years. But they need help too. And they're human beings like everybody else. And they have their times when they have their bad days and they have their good days. But they need our blessing that we are going to be open to helping them. Help whatever you can do in your community. And the only way our streets are going to get improved is getting involved. The only thing that's going to finish domestic violence is you go and talk to that person and see how you can help. Not by telling her what to do, but seeing where she can get that resource that she can go find help. There's a lot of ways that we can do by helping other people. Even the homeless, we can still help them out too. You know, even giving them water, giving them a sandwich. But we can't do, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
Did you have a question to wrap up? Or?
No, I just want to thank you for coming here and We are gonna work together.
Thank you, and I want to finish with this, like, I come from struggle, right, so I understand struggle. I told you I have so many different perspectives, and the one thing is that we have the willingness to work, right, we want to. I'm happy to have this position that I never had. I'm a very humble person, anyone that speaks for me, you're gonna see that, right? I'm humble, but when it comes down to policing, we police, right? I police in really bad places. This is probably the nicest place I've ever worked in my life. And we just want to make it nicer. So we're open to ideas. We're open to different ways of thinking, right? I always like to add tools to my toolbox. That's just the type of person I am. And even when I don't agree, I'm going to hear you out, and then we're going to respectfully disagree. But we're always going to be able to work together, okay? And that's all I ask. You know, so thank you.
All right, with that, I want to thank you once again, Commander, for attending today. I know you've got to slide out. I wanted to make certain you don't release my card, because I'm looking forward to having a one-on-one meeting with you. But,
I'd love to.
Sí.
stay safe out there. Stay safe out there.
Thank you so much. Please reach out if you guys need any support.
Likewise, thank you. All right, that being said, we'll get into the next portion of our agenda, which is minutes approval. We still have June to go through, and from what I overheard earlier, we're probably going to need to delay July for edits. So we have in front of us the June meeting minutes. I can now get a glass of water, whatever. This is not going to be very exciting for you. Thanks. All right, so. Okay, this was the June meeting. It was on the 21st of June, 2025, right across the hall in the small meeting room. Orlikoff and I were both present, and Councilor Vargas was not. Looks like we had three public comments, so Alex, Sally Hamm, and Ms. Rosenthal.
And we had a
And we had a
presentation.
presentation.
And then, so where did it, let's see, if we, okay, so you have,
Discussion.
a copy of the slide included.
Right.
So that's great.
So if there are any edits, please let them be known.
Sorry, give me 1 second. I think it was one. Changing the spelling of Nathaniel, F-E-J-E-R-A-N-G.
Where is it?
The updates, end of the second paragraph, just west of us, Nathaniel
Spelled
Fairring, F-E-J-E-R, and I'm not 100% sure if it's A-N-G or E-N-G. But I know that sorry. F-E-J-E-R-E-N-G is my best. So I have that one edit for the name. Submit, okay, I guess, and then also in, never mind, that's you. Okay, that's it. I think it's fine.
Went ahead and updated the draft that's sitting on my computer here, so we can send that out immediately following the meeting. Any other edits from you, Councilor Orlikoff?
No, sir.
What say you, Councilor Vargas, any edits that you see?
No, I think you're sure.
Okay. Okay, that being said, unless we have any objections, we'll go ahead and pass the minutes by unanimous approval of the June 21, 2025 meeting. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Minutes have been approved. All right, now moving on to the item of the July minutes from last month. As I mentioned, I know that there's some edits. That's all right.
I don't know if it's just worth going back for it, but if you could add a period there, I think it's just missing. And the sentences running together makes it more confusing. So it's the third paragraph of the community update. In the first sentence, immigration resources, I think a period is missing, or it might just be the printer. Before discuss. I don't know if we have to revote for the period, but I think that, because the period was intended, it was just a typo.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, as I mentioned earlier, July minutes, I know that there's a bevy of edits that have been requested. In all fairness, it wasn't, they weren't actually produced until this morning, so I think it'd be unfair for us to vote on those in such sudden succession. Does anybody have any issue with us delaying the approval of the minutes for the July meeting for next month?
No issue with that.
No issue, but I do see our statements, like our updates, not there. And I also see a lot of dialogue missing. It was like a 2-hour meeting, so I think the beautiful thing about these meetings is that neighbors talk with each other and there's dialogue. And for that not to be in the minutes, I don't think that really shows the reality of these meetings. So if we can get that dialogue and if you can share that information with Ebony. The other thing would be, I know that Sally and other neighbors have brought up the fact that sitting in silence while we read minutes isn't the most engaging for people. So I think it's time maybe we designate the chair to create a better streamline for these minutes to go out to the public. And then if they have anything.
So that's not how that works. So the meeting minutes are created by you all. I send them to you all and you read them before the meeting. So if you read them before the meeting and send your edits to me before the meeting, then you won't have to have this dialogue. So next month, when the meeting minutes go out, any changes that you want to have made, you send them to me in advance, and then all you have to do is vote.
I think that's fair, but we can also recreate something, right? Like if we want to send things out.
You can send them out afterwards. That's why they posted on the CCPSA website.
But not before?
No.
According to what?
We can talk afterwards.
Okay. But according to nothing at the moment, it's a possibility.
We can move on to the next thing on your agenda.
All right, being no objections, we'll delay the vote on the July meeting minutes till next month.
Yeah, I just asked any proposed edits, please be shared by email.
Right, absolutely, and I think that's what our wonderful staff member, Ebony Allen, by the way, those that are unaware, we've got a new community outreach coordinator provided by the staff. Thank you for attending as well.
Well, can you just walk us through how minutes are done?
Not right now. We can talk
Because
afterwards.
if you put it into
And I
a
can put it in writing
system,
for you.
if you put it into a system, like we need that
I
dialogue.
don't want to
in
waste
it.
the community's time on this. We can talk afterwards, and we can also have a
I don't
dialogue
think
via
it's a waste of
email.
time. It's been brought
It
up
is.
several times.
Right.
Ebony, I don't find this very respectful.
Okay, moving on to the
I
updates.
find this kind of like
We're gonna move on, actually.
okay, we can move on, but
Okay. That being
I
said,
don't think this is good.
do we have any updates from our nominating committee?
Yes. Sorry, 1 second. So for nominations, I know that last month we spoke about the nomination process. And so I just want to provide an update on the process, though we don't have confirmed dates yet. I still wanted to share the projected timeline for the year's nomination process. So in October, we'll begin outreach to universities and youth organizations to engage young people and encourage them to apply. Because a reminder, we will have three vacancies. 2 vacancies will be the youth, and the third vacancies will be our Northside Commissioner, Erin Gottlieb. And then in November, we'll make public announcement that the new upcoming, we'll make a public announcement of the new upcoming vacancies to begin recruitment. And then in December, we'll plan to officially release the application for these positions. And this is a 3-month-long process. So the first month will be when we open applications. Second month will focus on interviewing and reaching consensus among the 22 nominators. And the third month will be when the mayor picks the final CCPSA commissioners. So that's an update for that. My second update for the Area 5, this has to do with the Area 5 meeting we had back on July 28th. And I just wanted to share an update on that. So we recently held a meeting with Area 5, which included Detective Commander John Foster, CPD Victim Services, and DNA Processing. Ahead of the meeting, we submitted questions from community members that CPD requested ahead of time, and assured us that these questions would be incorporated into their presentation. Unfortunately, most questions were not answered during their presentation, so we will now be moving forward with the formal GO 111 request to get the responses that community members sent in written format from CPD. Community members who attended the meeting brought to our attention the serious misconduct that John Foster enacted onto vulnerable people and witnesses during his years of being a detective. Though the meeting was prompted by sexual assaults in District 14, it became a greater conversation about police trust, especially trust in Area 5's investigative leadership. Questions from the public included, how can we trust someone with a violent history of coercion and misconduct to oversee sensitive investigations? And how can we trust that the clearance rates aren't a result of wrongful convictions and corrupt investigative tactics? Foster refused to answer these questions. These concerns are not only about John Foster, they speak to the credibility of the entire CPD system. We owe it to our communities to pursue justice for the many victims, accountability, and a public safety that operates with integrity. So yeah, that was just my statement for the July meeting. Some people who were there noticed that John Foster refused to answer many questions that were very serious and important for the investigative process. And today we'll be moving forward with the vote of no confidence. If majority of the district council votes yes, then we'll be aligned with the Area 5 district councils, and we'll move forward with sending this to CPD leadership and bringing light to the fact that John Foster shouldn't be in this leadership role. Those are my updates.
Thank you. What about community outreach updates?
Yes, I have a few updates. First, our scheduled speaker for today was supposed to be a senior policy analyst from the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, and unfortunately, I was told this week that they would not be able to be here today. They are tentatively, I guess, rescheduled for our December 6th meeting, so I hope they'll be there. I do have a brief written response to a question about jurisdictions surrounding investigating CPD's involvement with COPA. I'm not sure if I should get into that now or in the discussion section. Do you have a preference?
No, go on.
Okay. So I asked, what is the current jurisdiction for investigating collaboration with ICE? What type of violation is it, and are there any holes or gaps? He said, this is a quote, currently COPA is referring any WCO, and that means Welcoming City Ordinance violations to BIA. If a case contains an allegation of a Welcoming City Ordinance violation and a secondary allegation that is under COPA's jurisdiction, it will make a jurisdictional determination on a case-by-case basis. He chose not to comment on whether there are any deficiencies in the current laws and said that would be the place of policymakers. In a follow-up question, he continues, in terms of CPD policy, adherence to the WCO and the Illinois State Trust Act are covered under CPD Special Order S06-14-03, titled Responding to Incidents Involving Citizenship Status. So that's where anybody can look up the public order. This is an aside. That's where anybody can look up that public order.
Not to cut you off,
That's
could you
fine.
repeat that?
Yes, sir. The CPD policy regarding adherence to the Welcoming City Ordinance and Trust Act are covered under CPD Special Order S06-14-03, and it's titled Responding to Incidents Involving Citizenship Status. So, largely this is just rehashing the information that was shared by my co-councilor Vargas in regards to the June 21st City Council hearing. However, I had wanted us to be able to have COPA come here directly, and we still hope to have that happen. So this is just a brief interim update on that. Thank you. Moving on, a couple other updates. As far as traffic stop policy, which has been an ongoing discussion of this council, our first resolution related to that, to end pretextual stops. The CCPSA, the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability, held votes related to their official positions and recommendations on traffic stop policy at their last hearing. Their meeting started on Thursday, July 31st. That video is currently, as of this morning, posted on YouTube. And the discussion around traffic stops and then the votes begins at minute 49. It is a lengthy proceeding that is somewhat difficult to summarize, in part because the different components of policy are split into different sections to vote on individually, and then there's also different versions of those components. So the best summary I can give you is that they passed two official policy positions for the commission on a component related to, one second. The one related to, where did I write it down? I was talking to Charlie. One related to consent searches, which is when they do a search based on the purported willingness of someone to let them do a search rather than having any articulable suspicion or probable cause to initiate that investigation. So they passed a recommendation related to consent searches in traffic stops, and also one related to limiting the scope of what CPD should be prioritizing their time on. That generally relates to things like vehicle registration, seatbelts, air freshener, or other things that don't seem to have a wider public safety implication. So I don't have the full details of those recommendations here. You can find more information on the website, or reaching out, I can connect you further with staff, etc. I would say watch the video if you're interested. The one other thing is Commissioner Gina Piemonte made a motion to include a vote on a position against pretextual traffic stops, which apparently was not planned. The President Driver and Vice President has been saying that this traffic stop policy considerations will not include pretextual traffic stops, but that's despite having been given 2,400 signatures to hold a hearing and conduct policy related specifically to pretextual traffic stops. Anyway, so Commissioner Gina Piemonte made a motion to have a position against pretextual traffic stops that was supported by Commissioner Javier Minor and Commissioner Aaron Gottlieb, but that motion was not supported by Commissioners President Anthony Driver, Vice President Ramel Terry, or Commissioner Sandra Wortham, or Commissioner Angel Ruby Navarro. So that motion did not pass, and they did not take an official position on pretextual traffic stops. Okay. Any quick questions on that? Did that make sense? Go to the video, basically, if you want to see it. Okay. Yes?
Frank Chapman called for your resignation. Why?
I have no idea.
Okay. Yeah.
We'd stand
Quick
on
question,
point.
Milo.
Yes?
I know that this is going to the consent decree, correct?
Yeah, it is already in the consent decree, and yes, it is. So these recommendations, thank you, they're following what would be the regular process to form a policy with CPD, and they're using that as to form the basis of their recommendations within the consent decree. It is ultimately up to the consent decree judge, Pallmeyer, and the Attorney General is a party in that case, and they have a different position, which does want to take a stand explicitly against pretextual traffic stops. Yes?
Can you just give a definition of pretextual
Yeah, thank you for that.
traffic
Yeah, the definition of a pretextual traffic stop would be if you assign a certain violation as a reason for the stop, but your real intention, but you have a different intention, which is your primary motivation. So if your motivation is, say, to try to find someone with an unregistered gun, or who doesn't have a concealed carry license to be able to have a legal firearm in their car in Chicago, so if somebody said, I'm going to follow this person until I can come up with an excuse to pull them over so that I can try to search their car, that would be a theoretical example of a pretextual traffic stop. A pretext in this case means an excuse different from your primary motivation. So the idea is that they want to do an investigation that they don't have the probable cause for. Is there another way to get there? And then, as a really quick aside, back in 2006, the Fusion Centers, as part of the War on Terror, combined National Security Administration with a lot of local policing, and one of the results of that was the Drug Enforcement Agency constructed a handbook on parallel construction, which is that when you perform things such as illegal surveillance of cell phones, etc., you need to have a legal way that you can tell a judge that you obtained that information. And that's the idea of parallel construction. So in my mind, it's there's a similarity there. Okay, moving on. I will try to be quick with this, as there are updates. This is new information relevant to us. The Cook County State's Attorney Office has done a couple things recently. One in the last couple months and one in the last couple weeks. First, they got rid of felony review. You may have heard of this. This was a few months back. In certain pilot areas, mostly on the west side and in high crime areas, but also in largely black areas of the city, meaning essentially that police officers are able to charge someone and have them immediately denied their freedom and thrown into jail without any vetting of any evidence against them, without a prosecutor or the judge or grand jury. So normally there are. Anyway, we are going to have a speaker next month that I hope will be able to address these issues better for us. I'm the Chicago Appleseed Center for Fair Courts. I'm expecting to have on September 13th. And I hope that they will be able to address some of these issues. They're a member of some of the groups like the Chicago Lawyers for Civil Rights and other things like that raise the issue. So anyway, so the first thing the state's attorney did was eliminate felony review for certain areas to allow police officers to directly have felonies levied against individuals, which carries a lot of repercussions, even if they're ultimately found innocent. The more recent move was getting rid of the Brady list, which is to try to be really, really brief with this. As part of the Constitution, Bill of Rights, we have the right to a fair trial. The National Supreme Court, as well as our state Supreme Courts, have routinely found that part of the right to a fair trial is the right to have discovery. Discovery means that if the prosecution is going to use something as evidence, they have to turn it over to the defense so they know what's coming. And part of discovery is called exculpatory evidence. So the Brady list is exculpatory evidence. That means if you want to call a police officer to the stand, but that officer was convicted of perjury on the stand last week, the prosecutor can choose to use him as a witness, but they have to tell the defense attorney that he has exculpatory information, that he is maybe not a credible witness for some reason.
So the Brady list was a list kept by the state's attorney office of officers for which there were reasons that they were legally required to disclose that they might not be credible witnesses. So there was a list of officers who credible witnesses, or could not be credible witnesses, called the Brady list. And Eileen O'Neill Burke, our new Cook County State's Attorney, has gotten rid of that list. What's interesting is that the spokesperson for this change is Yvette Loizon, the interim appointed CCPSA commissioner, lawyer commissioner. And in the Chicago Reader article reporting on this, they provide the evidence that her statements about it are inaccurate. She said that the reason to get rid of the list was because there was no clear actually I have the quote, sorry. There's no reason to muddle my words. Yvette Loizon defended the move to do away with Fox's Do Not Call list, incorrectly claiming there was no way for officers to be removed if added by mistake. Quote, there were no guidelines for how people got on that list. There was no opportunity to get off that list if you were put on the list in error, she said in an interview. And there was no clear direction on where the supportive materials and supportive documents and the information that would be potentially appropriate for disclosure would be kept or would live and how. However, Fox's policy explicitly stated that cops were added to the Do Not Call list at the sole discretion of her office and had 90 days to contest their inclusion via a letter to the office's ethics teams. Again, I'll try to keep it brief and not get into everything there, but essentially, this is extremely troubling, and the result is going to be much higher property taxes and rent, because the result of having an officer testify is a wrongful conviction that results in $1 million lawsuit. And we already have thousands of those, and that is definitely going to increase without having a list of the officers that should not be falsely testifying in court to produce wrongful convictions. So every time your rent or your property taxes increase, I suggest that you call Miss Eileen O'Neill Burke's office and complain. Thank you. Lastly, thank you for this, for me, no, I lied, two more. Budget proposals, I think that if I have a question for the chair, and related to, is it amenable to have a brief discussion section related to budget items, or?
Can we move that to the discussion?
That would be perfect, thank you so much. And lastly, I'm just going to put a link up here related to the speaker we had in June from the Public Health and Safety Campaign. If you were interested in finding out more about that, or how the budget relates to public safety, or how you could get involved, you can talk to me, or I'll put a link up here, and that will conclude my updates. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, my updates are not going to be near as long, because the commander actually took one of them, which is promoting National Night Out. Those of you who have been in these meetings in the past know that I'm a big fan of National Night Out. I think it's a great time to get families out there, get to know the police that are patrolling our streets, build some good partnerships with them, and it's a great time. Free food and drink, and Batman was there last year. We're not going to get Bruce Wayne, but we're getting Batman again. You know, I think there's going to be bounce houses, there's like a bike raffle, that sort of thing. So it's really positive, and it kind of shows that the CPD is really serious about moving forward with community engagement. Now, I think that doesn't cure it all, but I think it's a step in the right direction. So if you have Tuesday night available, it's always the first Tuesday in August, being August 5. It starts at 4:30 at Haas Park, at Washita and Fullerton. If you've got nothing else going on, I highly recommend that to the fullest degree. Let's see, I attended the meeting on Monday. I didn't capture everything because I was engaged in a conversation with someone out in the hallway. But I did see some familiar faces, including my colleagues here, and some of our colleagues that are citywide in the Area 5 area as well. And Mike Milstein gave a presentation there, and coincidentally I ran into Mike Milstein and his cadre at the commission meeting on Thursday evening, which I did attend. Does anybody that went to Monday night's meeting, did they remember Mike Milstein and what he had to offer? Because it was a very wealth of information that he presented out there. Mike Milstein is a civilian that works for CPD. Primarily, he's the director of victim services. He's got two very capable and competent people working under him as assistant directors, and they both had their own wing. One's more domestic violence, the other one is more SA. So, and they're also, if you know of anybody that's qualified, they're currently beating down every door they can to fill 28 current positions that are advertised on the City of Chicago page. So that brings them up to a total of 58 positions in that office. So if you or someone you know that could be helpful in that regard, I highly recommend going to that career section of the City of Chicago website and looking into it. I just secured a one-on-one meeting with Commander Rivera, so I'll keep you updated on how that goes as well. And yeah, that's all I have for updates. All right, we'll move on into discussions. Police accountability. Council Vargas, do you have any?
I said my piece during my updates, but we are looking to hold John Foster accountable and the entire CPD culture. Because it's not okay that John Foster, instead of being reprimanded, instead of the 69 misconduct concerns being taken seriously, he's been promoted, and we cannot celebrate abusive behavior like that. We need real. We need to see real action being taken within CPD to see John Foster being held accountable for his actions.
Okay. Molikoff, any discussions about police accountability?
Yeah, thank you briefly. Well, I provided the brief COPA update previously. In regards to John Foster, not to repeat things, but we did hear in our public comments some of the facts related to complaints as well as millions in settlements for misconduct. The Tribune, I will also say that the Tribune has reported on some of the controversy regarding John Foster and his then partner, Brian Foberg. And the Tribune reported that, quote, the detectives this was Madeline Buckley in July 9th of 2024, the detectives Brian Foberg and John Foster have generated scrutiny in the past year with more than a dozen defendants accusing them of coercing and manipulating witnesses in order to close cases. Foberg was married to an assistant state's attorney who worked closely with the Conviction Integrity Unit, now called Conviction Review Unit, which reviews potential wrongful convictions. So it was after that came to light, that connection with Foberg and the state's attorney, that more scrutiny was put onto some of the cases, and a number of wrongful convictions have begun to be overturned, and those are also turning into settlements for the city. So not only if there's a misconduct case where somebody says, you hurt me and I'm suing the city, but also people who have been harmed through the justice process of courts will also get settlements from your rent. So yeah, this is an issue that I've been aware of prior to Monday that I also think is a serious concern as well. I did hear all of the public comments on Monday of people saying that they didn't feel safe or comfortable, that there was a conflict in the ability for the community to work with somebody who had exhibited that type of behavior. So I do think it is a serious issue for us to consider. Thank you.
Thank you. And like I said, the commander was here. Very glad to hear that he's focused on accountability as well. My one-on-one conversation is going to center a lot about public safety and police accountability. I want to get a little bit more in depth with him on what his vision of accountability looks like and make certain it aligns with everyone here in the room and the entire community. That being said, we'll move on to restorative justice. Council Vargas, anything?
Nothing at the moment.
Council Molikoff?
Yeah, a couple really quick. Build on the 5100 West Harrison. They do also do some work in Humboldt Park. They have a satellite office, but they run free restorative justice trainings. So let me know if you'd like to sign up for that, or you call 773-227-2880. That's 773-227-2880. Or you can email Crystal Vasquez at buildchicago.org. And they also have a Circle for Circle Keepers the first Tuesday of every month from 6 to 8 p.m. Same phone number. And this is just to remind us, I still have some copies of the Chicago Appleseed Center for Fair Courts, their report on the restorative justice community courts, which the overhead finding was that it reduced recidivism by, well, depending on how you count it, by over 100. The recidivism was 65.2% in the control group and 13.1% in the restorative justice group, which is a tremendous decrease. And so I'm happy to have them finally be speaking with us next month.
Okay. All right, evidence-based approaches to community safety. Council Vargas?
No.
Okay. Council Wolcott?
If you would not mind just giving me one second.
I'll tell you what, I'll get into mine and then we'll
Go for it, thank you.
So our staff member, Ebony, has also provided us with something that Alderman Vasquez, 40th Ward, he's got immigration briefing going on. I believe we've got some copies up there at the desk, but I wanted to hold this up for the camera as well. And it's also the Know and Exercise Your Rights forums as well. So these resources are being made available to any and all that are interested. Like I said before, if you're not interested or if you know somebody that is, please share that information along with them. I appreciate it.
Was that all for you?
That's all for me.
Oh, thank you. Piggybacking really quick on the immigrant rights stuff. Also, more locally, if you are interested in getting more involved, there are local rapid response groups, and you can be trained to join them through Palenque LSNA or others. On the table also are a lot of Know Your Rights resources, and contact one of us if you need to speak further on that. And then I think I definitely want to say a little something about budget proposals. I think we might have covered anything else that would have been in this category already. So for budget proposals, I have the budget expenditure requests guide, the July 2025 version from the CCPSA to district councilors. This is what we are given to help us determine what budgets, what things we can likely request and get for our work here. But I want to put out there, or I think we have a report back from a group that was interested in exploring an idea about gardening. Does somebody want to say something about that? Okay, please.
Sure. My name is Rebecca DeMarco, and we had a meeting recently with Sally and John, and they're both very talented and actually have a lot of professional talent in the areas of landscaping architecture and community involvement, and you're well connected. Let's just say she knows a lot of people and has been already helping out a lot. So basically, long story short, is we had a meeting recently and we were discussing, things like, well, what could the space look like? What sort of places that already exist could we, maybe partner with? What would be the types of things that, activities that would happen once we get something established? What are some things we can do now? What are some things that are later down the road? There's some community gardens that are already existing, but maybe need a little TLC, and specifically more along the lines of support in terms of labor, and it may be someone to more directly manage the actions involved to make it thriving again. Did you want to mention should we mention neighbor spaces?
Sure.
So Sally is very familiar with neighbor spaces and is reaching out to them about some potential places. We have a couple favorites, I would say, and there's some others that are very viable as well. If we get a certain space, then we would take a look and see about things like raised beds and fencing and things of that nature, with, of course, the goal to promote this as a community space for youth, other types of involvement for members of the community, families. There's a lot of possibilities that would only help the community.
Cool. And have you planned to meet again, I guess?
Yes, definitely.
And you'll submit any, when you have anything, that would require our funding or whatever, you'll submit some proposals to us?
Yeah, I think that was initially my 2 cents was like, okay, so what kind of money are we talking about? But then I think we first need to get a little more concrete idea of like our thoughts solidified a little bit more before we discuss that with you all.
Okay, and so to just expand, thank you, appreciate it.
Sure.
Yeah, and we're very appreciative of community members who are so engaged beyond that. Not only do they come to these meetings, but they're willing to volunteer their time outside of that and try to plan ways to improve our community. So that's very exciting. Thank you. In general, yeah, I will say that I would like to solicit budget proposals from you all. I would say not just for think ahead to 2026 as well. What do you think that we could do in 2026? And I guess just to finally wrap up, I'll give you a rundown of some of the criteria. Allowed expenses include professional and technical services, public meetings, supplies and services, although not food, advertising and social media for community engagements, promotional items for community engagement and participation, clothing and apparel, materials and supplies. Prohibited costs include alcohol, pepper spray, stun guns, tasers, tactical bulletproof vests, self-defense keychains, and defensive sprays, fundraising and campaign costs, lobbying, food and refreshments, computer equipment, including laptops, tablets, and iPads, cell phones, mobile devices, political activities, political events, and reimbursements to district counselors. So that's a general, and then I'm just seeing if there's one more thing. Vendors, no. Yeah, in general, you know, anything that we would use money for is going to be subject to, you know, every regulation that exists pretty much. So, for example, something related to youth, in my mind, what might be the most difficult would be hiring somebody who has not previously worked specifically with youth for that role, because in my mind, they would be required to, for example, you know, become certified through FBI fingerprint background check, and they would also have to be, you know, fully up to date on compliance with the regulations for adults supervising youth. And there are different concerns there. So in general, the easiest thing is to just cut a check to a third-party vendor that previously exists. I would say that, you know, we don't have full creative freedom and control. This is not actually our budget, so we can't actually like really create salaries from it. We can hire independent contractors. But yeah, the easiest thing generally is to buy something from a catalog or hire a consultant who's known as a city vendor.
So please send us your ideas. You can talk about them in these meetings, public comment, or you can also just email me or all of us. And think about 2026. What would you like us to do for 2026? Thank you.
Mr. Marco, you had a question?
Yeah, my question is, so actually, not so much a question, but a comment about, I really do feel like the self-defense classes were pretty crucial, actually. Like I mentioned in a different meeting, it was something I unfortunately had to use right away after I had attended some training. And so from Thousand Waves, I mean, if you could continue to use the same organization, they were excellent. That was just my 2 cents on that. So if I would think that would be really helpful for all members of the community, really.
Thank you. I could respond briefly to that. Did anybody else want to say something before we move on?
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So I apologize for not having another one scheduled yet. I do want to do that definitely still in this year. There were a couple holdups that I will be transparent about, and not necessarily serious, but hiccups that made it seem a little anyway. With Thousand Waves, honestly, I'm just we can definitely schedule another one, and I will start to do that. I was one of the things we asked for was to be able to have photographs from some pictures from the event, and I just haven't received those yet. I will ask again, but regardless of whether I do or not, we could schedule them again, even if we don't, say, receive those photographs. With the other group, they were having an issue getting paid, and I was embarrassed to hire them again until they had gotten paid. That is also, I think, being resolved.
The city does take forever.
Okay, did the co-councilors have any comments on anything budget related?
No, as far as the self-defense courses, I'm all on board because it promotes public safety at the individual level. My only caveat, as I stated previously, is that it's open to all members of the community, not just a portion of it. So,
well, on that, the individual who's been at some of our meetings and actually, I guess, like sometimes is a photographer there, but wasn't the photographer at this event. I do believe maybe that they had communicated a preference for women at that training. However, the official position from like the director and the program lead is that, I mean, the classes are open to anybody over the age restriction who participates. The one thing that they said was that they don't want anybody observing who is not participating.
right. Okay. Well, let me clarify a little bit. We can have all female, all women in a self-defense course as long as there's an all-male. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Where nobody's discouraged.
My understanding is that because you and other Thousand Waves one, that would then it is not.
Right.
It's not their policy that is exclusively female. We can be more clear.
What I'm saying is it doesn't have to be intermingled as long as we have it to where everybody can access it. And
I believe that it was intermingled. I believe so, although I didn't.
That's the only caveat that I asked for.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anything from you, Councilor Vargas?
Except for what Rebecca said, for the self-defense classes.
I have another question for the councilors related. I tried to do this last year and I wasn't successful, but I'm trying now this year. I wanted our remaining funds to just go into a digital marketing fund. I again put that request out, but according to the staff, I mean, they said that in theory it should be possible, but they weren't sure if it was as simple as them just telling the city to put money in our Meta wallet, or if they would have to make it a lot more complicated for some reason. But how do you feel about that? Basically, I don't have the capacity to set up enough self-defense trainings that will exhaust our budget just from self-defense trainings. That's the issue that I have, is the organizing involved.
Well, as far as digital marketing, I don't mean to interrupt if you have something that you wanted to jump in with, but I mean, as long as it gets people, it serves the people, I'm fine with it. I think we could probably have an offline conversation with the project managers at CCPSA on how to streamline that process as well, if that's the route that we're going to go with.
Any opinion on digital marketing?
I would like it to go to community engagement, but I just need maybe just some time to think about digital marketing.
Okay, thank you. All right, thanks. I'm all done with all my planned stuff.
Okay. All right, move on to any other items, which would be the voting. So we've already taken care of the minutes, so we have vote of no confidence. Does anybody want to present that?
Yeah, so back in the July meeting, it was requested by survivors, by advocates, by victims of police torture that we vote no confidence because clearly CPD isn't doing enough to hold their own officers accountable. So I am for moving forward with a no confidence vote regarding John Foster and also regarding the CPD culture that enables and protects misconduct through their internal investigations. At the moment, it's BIA, and it's there to enable and protect them from true justice and true accountability. So not only is this vote for John Foster, but it's also to condemn police culture and BIA. Because out of 69 allegations that John Foster has, only 3 of them were sustained. And those 3 included violations related to supervisory responsibilities, off-duty conduct, and also personnel violations. So those are pretty serious. They had enough evidence for BIA, for the internal investigations to sustain those allegations. And aside from that, that pattern of misconduct led to the city of Chicago to pay out $3.4 million in a settlement for the wrongful conviction of Maurice Patterson. It's separate from the sustained allegations, but it's connected by the same pattern of misconduct that continues to go unaddressed. In any other profession, this record would trigger alarm and consequences, but in CPD, it resulted in promotions. So today I vote no confidence, and I stand by that, and I hope my other area district council people will vote no confidence with me too.
So you want to state your motion for a vote?
Oh, motion to vote no confidence in John Foster.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, well, I'm gonna bring up some discussion. First time I've ever heard or even laid eyes on this John Foster, and there's plenty of them out there in Chicago, was Monday. I saw this appeared on our agenda, and I had nothing to substantively do any kind of individual investigation on my own. So I'm not educated enough on the matter to make a decision myself. That's where I'm going to go with that. I think if it was something that we brought up for a vote, we should at least have some kind of a drawn out, this is what our aim is to do, and this is why we're doing it, and so that I can sit there and make an educated and informed decision on this. Like I said, first I've heard of the guy was less than a week ago, so I don't think I'm educated enough to come to a decision on this. By that stretch, I'm not saying no, I'm just saying that I'm going to have to abstain, predicated on the fact that not enough information was given for me to make an educated and delineated decision on this matter. And I'm not saying, I know that we've got people that were affected directly and indirectly. I'm not trying to diminish that. What I'm saying is, I'm not going to indict a stranger on limited or little or no information at all. I don't think it's very fair.
Direct respond to that. You've had the same amount of time as the rest of us to do your own research, and it's just disappointing to come to a district councilor meeting where you're unprepared to vote on something that was put on your agenda.
It was put on our agenda on Wednesday.
And that's 3 days.
And those allegations, that have been put forward, they're on the Chicago Police Department webpage.
Okay.
So, it doesn't take but a few minutes to log into the webpage and see that there are those 69, where are my notes here? The 69 accusations that only 2 were sustained, only 3 were sustained, only 2 involved in any discipline. I mean, these are Chicago police records, and it takes 5 minutes max to go find those. Would you like me to send you a copy of that?
Absolutely. I'm open to taking in all the information that anyone wants to share with me about it so that I can sit there and be educated on the matter.
I didn't realize that
just
you
don't
couldn't
think-
check that yourself on the
I don't think it's
police page, but
responsible.
I will be happy to send it to you.
Okay, I don't think it's responsible for anybody in any position to make an uneducated and uninformed decision on someone's career. I'm not saying that the guy's innocent. I don't know. I don't know if he's guilty or innocent. I don't have the information in order to process that. That's what I'm getting at.
And you didn't look it up after the meeting?
You haven't sought out the information.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I haven't sought out the information because it wasn't brought to my attention until Wednesday afternoon.
It was brought to your attention
I
Monday
think
night.
that, I think that.
That's when it came to my attention, and I found a whole bunch of stuff on it.
I think that anybody that wants to put forth good faith in making a vote on this should have provided the background information so that I could be educated on it when we can get into this meeting. That being said, we have a motion on the table to vote no confidence.
I have or before we go to the vote,
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, or 2 things I want to say. One is that, one of the people who spoke at the meeting on Monday, after the meeting as well, is Mark Clements, who's a survivor of torture and wrongful conviction in Chicago, and he's someone that I met 15 or 14 years ago, and I am sure that I would not, have sought this position or be, in this work, so to speak, if I had not met him. Or others like him, but I have been aware of issues with wrongful convictions and torture and false confessions and coercion with detectives, including John Foster, prior to Monday, as have a number of people in the city. I do also think that for as a commander. There is an urgency with addressing any concerns about not just his presence on the force, but his leadership, and that it is our job to take that seriously. The second thing I would just ask, just as an ask, if the co-counsel presenting the motion. What you think of the idea, I guess, of compiling the motion as more of a list of the griever, the motion we would pass today would say, the 14th District Council cast a vote of no confidence for Area 5 Detective Commander John Foster, period. And that's it. I'm prepared to vote on that today, and that's fine. Do you think that there would be greater value in having an expanded motion that includes, itemization of the complaints? And I'm not saying that I have a strong position on that. It's just a question.
I feel ready and prepared to vote on it today
Sure.
because of the various articles out there that explains his torture methods, and it made me very uncomfortable reading it. With the many victims that were present at the meeting and requested this vote, with the 69 allegations, and in those allegations was use of force. It was so many different allegations that I feel very much ready to vote on that today. In the next meeting, if we want to, I list out, CCPSA staff can do, I would suggest that in the next meeting, we would, in our minutes, we would have more, what did you say, David?
No, that's fine, because, I agree with you in that if, the information is there.
The information is there.
So we don't need to reproduce it. We can alert people to the fact that they can read Chicago Tribune articles related to it, also the Fight Back News article. From
Yeah,
Monday.
and the next meeting, if we want to list out all the various articles, then I feel like we can have that in the minutes.
Sure. So I'll just put it on the record for us for now that if you'd like to find out some more information about the situation we're referring to and voting on, I'm just going to read the name again of the reporter. Madeline Buckley in Chicago Tribune, July 9th, 2024. And then I actually don't have the name of the reporter, but Fight Back News published an article this week about the meeting on Monday.
That was Grace Patino.
Grace Patina, thank you.
And you've got my email, so you can push that in my direction.
Oh,
Well,
sure.
Like I said, regardless how this vote shakes out, I want to learn more about it. You know, I'm not saying like, nope, and that's over with. I'm saying, hey, I'm not educated enough on it, so I don't feel confident in casting a vote. That's why I'm abstaining.
I made it
So-
up and sent you the articles, thank you.
So, do we have a second for the motion on the table?
I second.
I will note that as long as John Foster is on the force, vulnerable communities will always be at risk. And that's why I would like to move forward with that vote today and find accountability today.
Okay, so,
I second the motion.
okay, so we'll go with the roll call vote. Council Vargas, how do you vote?
I
And Council Rollicott?
Aye.
And I abstain, so it votes by a margin of 2-0, so it passes, the vote passes. Okay, any other items that we have before we get to the final details?
Oh, we changed the date, that's not correct date.
September 17th.
It's the 13th, I believe.
I got 17 on the website.
I don't think 17 is a Saturday. Does the website say 17?
Yeah.
Can we also get more information on how people are selected to be commanders? Who makes those decisions? And what kind of review process do they use? And what kind of accountability do they have to CCPSA and the 14th district, to the other district councils?
What kind of accountability?
Yeah, I mean, do they talk to us about these at all? Who do we want for 14th district, commander? Nobody asked me.
As a matter of fact, I think the subject matter expert that we have direct involvement with would be Commander Rivera. And when I had that one-on-one meeting, that's probably, hey, how did you get to become commander?
Yeah, who picked him?
Right, so we have a question in the back?
Yeah, is the police department required to respond to votes of no confidence?
It would be the right thing to do.
But you can't force them to do anything about it, is my
We will bring
question.
it to their attention.
Well, ask
We can't-
Commander Rivera what we could do.
Yeah,
Find out.
exactly. Yeah.
To be determined is the answer I'll give you, the short answer I'll give you now.
The public has some power.
Right.
And I know that District Council 1725 will most likely vote alongside with us. So it'll be a powerful message we sent to CPD condemning their John Foster and also their culture of promotion.
Yep.
Okay, hearing no other items, we'll go ahead and get to our adjournment portion. Want to remind everyone that our next meeting is going to be Saturday, September 13, 2025, and that will be at the Wicker Park Public Library, located at 1701 North Milwaukee Avenue. Time now is 2:36 p.m., and we are now adjourned.
Hey, Chris, actually, I was wondering,